Okay, well, we're here today to do a quick lecture for Capstone, and it is the nature of it is a business organization. Now, I teach a class on this. It's called Para 205, and this is just a short introduction. Okay, so this is not going to be definitive at all. We're just kind of give you a little bit of the understanding of it to try to help you with this test. Questions, problems, always feel free. Send me an email. Okay. Now, I'm trying to follow the little rules we made about trying not to get in front before you guys get all this stuff written down. So basically, that's the idea. Well, a couple things we want to share. One of them is, that the business organizations break down into different types. And first we'll talk about proprietorship. And the big thing on that is, this is usually what we call a sole proprietor. And this would just be like a single person that has a little business, maybe like a hobby shop, craft shop, car repair shop, or it could be like a solo attorney. It has advantages. You can run basically everything pretty much out of one account, and you don't have a lot of issues with that. Disadvantages I can speak to from experience. You want to take a vacation, what's going to happen? Nobody there to watch the store. You either shut it down or you turn it over to somebody that might steal you blind, or just run it into the ground. Liability issues, you're the owner, you're responsible. The buck stops here, somebody slips on the ice outside your building, all the way to hey, somebody took my wallet while I was in for an interview. So a number of different problems that can accrue there. Well, when you get past proprietorships, then we start looking at partnerships, and this is to try to, ameliorate some of those problems. You can have, advantages that include, there's two people that can work, so that you can divide the load a little bit. I frankly enjoy watching some of the immigrant families that have come in from places like Pakistan and India, and they set up these convenience stores, and it's like maybe man and wife and all the kids are in there working, or two brothers are in there working, and they split the day up. I have to admire that, to tell the truth. I mean, they're hard workers and they try to do a good job. Well, we have a couple different kinds of partnerships: general and limited. And the general partners basically handle the operation in a general partnership, whereas a limited partnership, there could be a general and a limited partner. Limited partner is just an investor, kind of like a stockholder, but not per se a stockholder. And general is involved in operations. Okay, so if it's all general partnership, everybody involved is a general, then they share the load. They both have opinions they have to work out. But that can be a disadvantage too. Is that if there's only two people, how do you compromise? If there's some people they feel strongly about something, the other one feels strongly about it, then that doesn't work. It can be an issue. And so they have Other problems that can come up with limited, they can just say, well, I'm just cutting my losses. I'm not going to support this company anymore. And so, you can just like pulling the rug out from under. So that's not good either. So you have to find the right balance. There are what we call LLCs, which is limited liability. That's a little different than like the limited partnership. Limited liability means, that you are investor, but you are not required to stand up for the debts of the corporation. There's also different other kinds of groups, including joint ventures and joint stock companies. Well, that brings us down real quickly to corporations. And corporations, there's different types of corporations. And so we have some that are kind of tax, which we call Chapter S. And really, Chapter S is pretty similar to a sole proprietorship in many categories, except that the owner is somewhat protected by the corporation. The problem you get into on a Chapter S is that even though there are tax advantages, if you want to get a mortgage or something like that, usually the bank will not loan money to the corporation. The bank wants a co-signer by the owners, and so it kind of defeats purposes of Chapter S in terms of the liability aspect. But it can be an efficient way to operate in terms of retirement and just different things like that. So it does have its advantages for tax purposes. Keep in mind some other important words. We have Section 1244 stock. And I think that would be a good one if we're going to give you a little bit of extra credit. Find out what Section 1244 stock is, and give me a definition of that, and get that to me, and then we'll share that with the class, and we'll give you some extra points if you're able to get that. So that's an extra credit that just kind of proves to me that you're paying attention, and so that's one thing that we'd like you to define. Another thing that we want to check into is like corporate management. We said there are shareholders. We've all heard of that. There are also what we call directors. Directors can come from anywhere. They are paid to give like some overall direction. Let's say, the root word is direction. So they're trying to help the management make the right decisions on behalf of the shareholders and the corporations. They usually do get paid some small amount of money, and it can vary. It can be a lot of money, but usually a number like $10,000 is not unusual for some of these even large corporations. One of the things too that we get into in terms of publicly held stock is, the shareholders can be all over the world. There's been concerns in the past, for example, that China might buy up stock in this or that, and that can be a problem. Well, then in addition to the shareholders and directors, there are officers, and they handle, this is so more or less broad, long-term direction. Spelling. And this is day-to-day. Officers handle the day-to-day decision-making. So look at those. Shareholders just have overall investment in the corporation. Once in a great while, they can get riled up and bring a shareholder lawsuit because they don't like the direction that the directors are giving. They don't like what the officers are doing. Maybe there's too much self-dealing going on. A lot of these officers, these CEOs and COOs and people like that are making vast amounts of money in this modern world in some of these large corporations, and can really question the ethics of that on some of these situations. Well, one of the things, of course, that you also have, and kind of the final thing, are employees. And it's interesting because generally employees are lowest man on the totem pole, but in a couple of corporations it's very interesting, like for Southwest, I'm sorry, gosh, what am I thinking? Southwest Airlines, and the employees are the stockholders. And also another one that has a huge impact on us on a daily basis and has a lot of stockholder participation by employees is in UPS. And UPS is a very fascinating story. You don't hear much about it, but they do an excellent job in the job that they do. Basically they have a large role by the employees in the membership of the stockholders. The other thing, it's so funny, it's a real strong Teamsters Union outfit, so it's kind of a very hybrid type of situation where they cover a lot of these different roles here. So very interesting, but it's not all just straight down the line always the same. Okay, mentioned earlier about shareholder derivative actions. People get upset about the direction the corporation's going. Maybe there's too much money, profits being drawn off and given to the officers, and so they can be upset because some of that money they feel should go as a form of dividends to the shareholders. Also, some of these major corporations have had to file bankruptcy in the recent past. So that would mean that the officers have been taking the corporation in kind of a bad direction. So that brings me to the last part of our discussion, and that is corporate dissolution. Corporate dissolution, that means they're going to dissolve the corporation. Corporation's going out of business. Sometimes this runs hand in hand with bankruptcy, which we'll talk about next. Here again, I just want you to know this is just kind of an overview. If you wanted to get into more detail, you should sign up for my Para 205 class, which is offered in the fall. All right, well, thank you very much. Good speaking to you again. This is the Capstone class. Let me know if I can help you in any way, and we'll be bringing you more of these little virtual lectures from time to time. Thanks a lot.